Redbird's Surrealist Park. The lecture is primarily a different interpretation of Muhammad Hanif's novel Redbirds. Therefore, while watching it, my previous talk on the novel should be ignored. My point of the talk is that the novel Redbirds can be interpreted as a surrealist work. I'll focus on the factors like the irrational, the magical, and the unconscious to highlight the surrealist dimension of the text. Hope you find it interesting. What is surrealism? Burton's Manifesto de Surrealism made the surrealist movement a movement to challenge the addiction to reason, materialism, and dehumanization of the First World War. It dominated the French literary scene until 1940. Deeply inspired by Freud's unconscious, it emphasized the transformation of the man through return to the marvelous, especially the magical in everyday life, dreams, spontaneity, play, and the free and open creativity of the unconscious. Simply, just like some of our dreams, surrealist literature takes us into a completely different world and is designed to seem unrealistic, bizarre, and completely illogical. A few words about the use of the word park. What is the park? In Redbirds, I use the word park in two ways. First, as a playful word to highlight lighter element of the text or in the text. From this point of view, the text Redbird presents a situation where dogs speak and reflect more deeply than humans, where dog taunts humans for greed and corruption, where the older adult, Father Deer, is in a festive mood of popularizing sex education among the conservative population, where Lady Flower Body, a USAID official, is on a mission to know about Muslim mind through getting familiar and friendly with the youth by distributing fake Cadbury chocolates. It is the text where women are found lamenting and complaining, and young boys like Momo dream of earning billions of dollars through selling sand. It is a text where women are obligated to wear hijab all the times. For instance, when Mother Deer is discovered without a dupatta, she bares her belly to cover her head with her shirt. A bizarre situation, in fact, is created here. Hence, if you take the descriptions in the novel at their face value, it seems like a fun, engaging, and gossipy park. However, I plan to employ the word park to build a surrealist world where images are both imaginative and multidimensional. So the park is here in the sense of strangeness, imaginatively pictured, containing the uncanny and dreamy elements. I'll focus on three aspects of surrealism. First, the irrational, second, the magical, and third, the unconscious. I claim that all the three challenge reason and promotes freedom from rationalism to give way to the celebration of the surreal in the text. The irrational. Irrational is often invoked when we cannot understand a form of human behavior. It naturally contradicts the domain of rationalism as a supreme epistemological approach to verifying knowledge. In this context, how can we interpret war and the post-war conditions in the novel? Certainly, the reason is the foundation to overwhelm opposition through the technological strength and the destructive power of the bombs and the drones. The reason is also behind academic research carried out on young Muslim mind by Lady Flower Body. It falls broadly within the domain of preempting future threats. What about Mutt's presence in the novel? Can it be taken as an assertion of the irrational over human reason? Can we say that Hanif's focus on dog is a direct denial of human capacity to think and human dominance of reason? Can we say that dog is superior to human faculty of reason? Or can we say that the dog represents the dominance of irrational over and above the rationality of the human beings? Obviously, Hanif seems to contradict reason with simultaneous focus on dog. So we have a parallel construction. On the one hand, reason, and on the other hand, a powerful character of dog. And Hanif tends to develop a personhood of the dog that varies significantly from human person. See my video on a deconstructed dog. Imaginatively described, Hanif pulls the irrational to the surface by presenting dog and dog's feature. Simply, this is the reversal of the progress of the reason. The magical. Multiple times, the text appears to generate a magical vision. Several descriptions in the novel seems to convey a magical sense of imagining the real. For example, the depiction of the fighter plane accident, Major Ali's desert hallucinations, mirages, and the apparition of the dog-like monster early on is genuinely magical. It constructs a light, strange, and uncertain condition, but nothing is what it appears to look like. The magical word is about strangeness or transforming the real into a strange depiction, dreamy, fearful, and dark. One of the most crucial magical element of the text is related to paralleling human warmth with the cockpit of the fighter plane. The contrast is absurd, but by centering on the bizarre, it conveys the oddness and strangeness which is inherent in all realms of magic. The human womb is a physical space identified with creativity, death, as well as the alienation of the child there. Hanif's use of the concept is more in line with the latter, that is, alienated existence. The human womb is now a place where Hanif tends to foresee an alienated existence of a child. And the same phenomena he observes or relates with the life in the fighter plane jet. These are the feelings of Major Ali. He has been flying jets for a number of missions, but there comes a point when he feels sickness, when he feels extraordinary burden of anxiety, depression, and that is the point where Hanif builds up the parallel between the cockpit and the human womb. In that sense, the plane is parallel to life in the human womb, dog isolated and alienated. And it communicates anxiety and a profound psychological stillness in Ali's life, a life towards death, in fact. Unconscious. As stated earlier, the Surrealist manifesto drew inspiration from Sigmund Freud's notion of the unconscious. Now, what is unconscious? Definitely, the unconscious is a state of mind which is free from the rational norms and limit, or norms and limit of rationalization or rationality. Freud also thought about instincts as part of the unconscious. He divided instinct into life instinct and death instinct. The life instinct is eros, the instinct of survival, and the death instinct is the instinct of destruction, danger, trauma, and aggression. And he calls it thanatos. Now, Redbird is about both eros and thanatos. It is about survival and death. However, these instincts are given a new power structure by assigning both thanatos and eros to the dominant Americans and only eros to the subordinate group, the local Muslim population. Some further talk on the unconscious, with particular focus on thanatos and eros. Thanatos in the novel is about destruction, blatant destruction, and destruction through technology and blind force. In fact, the whole war raises moral questions of using local youth as agents for placing chips for the drones, or the abduction of youth with little information to the parents about their whereabouts after the kidnapping. Now, these abducted youths could be used for multiple purposes. They could be used for laying chips for the drones, or placing chips for the drones, or laying land mines, or doing physical manual labor at the hangar. Eros, on the other hand, is about preservation. It is about struggle for survival. It is about life. And this human instinct is strongly represented in the local population behavior, the behavior of struggling for food, for basic medicine, for basic living conditions. And for that purpose, they are totally dependent on the American aid or American war supplies, post-war supplies, American foods, American shelter, as basic requirement of living and survival in these terrible conditions. We also see that the local population is ready to cooperate blindly with the Americans, with the forces at the hangar. For example, as I have discussed it several times, Father Deer is willing to proliferate, spread sex education among the local population for earning, for making an impression on the American, or simply for the sake of dollars. The unconscious, with particular reference to thanatos and eros. Thanatos is destruction, blatant destruction, and blind destruction through the use of technology. It also raises moral questions about using local youth as agents for placing chips for their drones. For example, Bro Ali is used to place chips for the American drones. It is also about abduction of youth with little information to the parents about their whereabouts after the kidnapping. And these abducted youths could be used for multiple purposes. They could be used for placing chips for the drones, they could be used for laying land mines, or any other physical manual labor at the hangar. On the other hand, eros is there. It is an instinct to be found strongly among the local population. And it is an instinct of survival, a struggle for survival and preservation. And in the novel, this instinct strongly moves around the basic human need, the human need of shelter, food, and medicine. So we see people, the local population, totally dependent on American aid, not for something superhuman or extraordinary, but for basic supplies of medicine and food and provision of shelter. We also see that in the urge for survival, or in the urge for gaining some financial gains, the local population, especially Father Deer, is part of the American policy of spreading sex education in the society. Now, this could be taken as a strategy, as a survival instinct, because it helps Father Deer secure some stability as well as some money for survival in the difficult conditions. In conclusion, the text of the Redbird is dense with more profound messages that beg to be uncovered and unpacked by the reader. My discussion of the surrealist element in the text was an attempt to highlight the importance of education in the creative process, and to show how the work necessitated the use of readers' imagination in order to be fully appreciated. Further studies can be conducted to ascertain the value of imagination in modern Pakistani fiction. Furthermore, using the text animal images and symbolism as a basis for further inquiry is possible. How may it be examined with reference to the major animal representation in contemporary philosophy? For example, Deleuze and Guattari repeatedly mention wolf in their monumental work, The Thousands of Plateaus. Similarly, Simulacra and Simulation by Baudrillard has a thorough discussion of the animals. Can we relate the representation of the animal in Redbird with the philosophical representations in the above mentioned books? That's the point of discussion we need to develop further. Good luck.